Now, let's just take a moment, Brother Rush. You and the gay community. The gay community interrupted a program you once did for CBS. You know, just all but shut it down. This was, I believe, ACT UP. And the gay community does have a lot of problems with you, and they aren't funny. Did you suggest that the gays be excluded as potential organ recipients?
No.
Did you suggest that people might want to abort gay fetuses?
No. Oh, yes, I did. In context, may I?
Sure.
It's just, in fact, this just showed up in the Norfolk, Virginia paper this Sunday. I suggested in an argument about pro-life and pro-choice, I suggested that if, in the future, which I think we'll be able to do, let's say that homosexuality is genetically determined. Let's say it's not chosen. I happen to think that's true. Let's say that as you can now scan the womb and find out if you're going to have a kid that's got Down syndrome or whatever, we now are getting close to determining if the child's going to have red hair, black hair, whatever. We know what sex it is. Suppose someday we're able to figure out that a child is predisposed to homosexuality. What happens if the parents say, nah, I don't want, and abort the child on that basis? I said, you'll see the biggest conversion from pro-choice to pro-life in the history of America on the part of the homosexual community. It's all I said. It was a medical ethics topic, and this was my illustration. I did not do, I'm pro-life, Phil.
Right.
I do not suggest anybody be aborted.
I assume you bring no moral judgment to the behavior of privately consenting adults.
I am not at all concerned with who sleeps with who. I can't control it, can't stop it.
So this is not a moral gayness or straightness, or Phil, if you're shaped like an S, this is not a moral issue of itself. Is that your position?
Every issue that I tackle is based in politics, and I attack nobody.
So what we need to do...
I get up in the morning, I read the newspaper, I look at the institutions in which I believe being attacked, and I defend them.
So what we need to do, you write in your column, which incidentally appears, I assume, in not a few newspapers. You're a columnist too, Rush. So what we need to do is screw up their markets, the Japanese markets, the way ours have been screwed up, in the sense that the liberal do-gooders make companies do a lot of paperwork. You go on to say, the first thing we need to do is open a gay-lesbian alliance against defamation in Japan. All we need to is turn them loose against every Japanese business, which will be overwhelmed with lawsuits if gays are not hired and or treated properly. But
I didn't single them out. I said, let's also open a Now Gang chapter. Let's open ACLU. Let's open a branch of the NAACP. And let us put Japanese business, in context.
Very good.
Let's put Japanese business under the same constraints American business is under, and see how well they do.
If an employer wants to fire somebody because they're a woman, a minority, or a gay person, that's okay with you?
No.
There should be no lawsuit.
No.
There should be no alliance of committed people to fight this?
You should have to, there should be cause if you're going to fire somebody.
And so you think it's okay with you if it's illegal, against the law, to fire a person because he or she is gay?
Absolutely.
Well, that's all GLAAD is doing here. And you would seem to make fun of them in this piece. Send them to Japan so that they can screw up Japanese companies.
Because I think GLAAD and other groups not restricted to homosexuality have a political agenda far beyond whether or not somebody gets fired because of who they are and what they are. I mean, well, Phil, I mean, look at any weekend news event. I mean, there are protests at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they're throwing condoms all over the place. I mean, it's not constrained just to jobs and hiring. There's a political agenda going on with those people.
Phil, this man's a very, very destructive person. I haven't seen any sense of compassion, of love for fellow man, and trying to make this world a better place. I mean, I don't see that. You're criticizing, attacking, destroying. I mean...
I've destroyed nothing. I've attacked nothing. As far as compassion, I think it is compassionate to try to teach people to take care of themselves rather than depend on government. I think it's compassionate to try to save babies in the womb. I don't know what basis you use to say that I am attempting to take life.
Over here, Rush.
Yeah. Are you in favor of mandatory sterilization of welfare recipients?
No.
Good.
You appear to be making fun of the homeless.
No. I think the homeless advocacy is a bunch of frauds. And the homeless update is designed to illustrate that. May I give you an example?
You have a piece whereby the homeless, you make fun of the homeless resisting the returning of shopping carts to their owners. You remember that piece?
Phil, not make fun of. Here's the story. In California, the homeless, in a lot of places, use shopping carts from grocery stores as their homes. And the grocery store owner said, no, that's our property, we'd like it back. And they asked the cops to go round them up every year, and they do. And the homeless advocates say that's no compassion,
right,
and that's heartless,
right,
but it's their property. And so Project Dignity in California has sprung into action to take care of this terrible injustice. And what they're doing is you donate to them, and they'll go out and buy a shopping cart for a homeless person, right, and give it to him. Now, Phil, wait, let's talk about compassion. Let's talk about compassion. You're homeless, and I'm another human being, and I say, here, pal, I love you. Here's your home. Here's a shopping cart. What kind of dignity is that? That's no dignity whatsoever. None. Now, there's another thing. Wait just a second. Wait, one moment, because Project Dignity is doing something new. Project Dignity now has a video called Dumpster Dining. It teaches homeless people how to scrounge dumpsters for nutritious food. Mm-hmm. So I do a homeless update. This is unfair. What about the blind and handicapped homeless? How are they going to get into the dumpsters? Yeah. Let's put some ramps in. Let's put some handles. Phil, the homeless...
Yeah.
The homeless advocates, there are 600,000 homeless, not 3 million, never have been 3 million, never will be 3 million. It was a lie from the beginning, and the idea that there are fewer than thought angers the homeless advocates when it ought to please them.
And most of those, whatever the number may be, I have the sense you feel these are people who really could get a job.
No, I think maybe 20% of them are. I think the rest of them are mentally incapacitated or the victims of substance abuse.
Yeah.
Since you're going to get a television show, I just wonder, are you afraid you're going to end up like Morton Downey Jr.? Because you remind me of him in some ways.
Let me give you an uninterrupted chance to answer that question. I'll tell you what, you get away with stuff on radio you don't get away with on television.
I see absolutely
it's different
no comparison to Mort.
Well,
wait a minute. Mort was profane. Mort was rude. Mort was abusive. Mort was not telling you the truth about what he believed. Mort was one of these kind of people who throw it up in the wind. There's no comparison. But besides, Madam, Mort failed in 2 years, and I'm still going after 8. I mean, there's no comparison.
Your
He's not even on
television
the
program
air
begins
anymore.
in the fall, and we'll be back in just a moment.